the term fictional intelligence or FICINT in your website. What are the core elements of this practice and how would you teach it to those involved in strategic foresight?
Yeah, so thicket is a term that's often used interchangeably with useful fiction. It's a bit of a playful term in that it's running with the idea of there's human intelligence, SIGINT, signals intelligence, ficant, fictional intelligence. I need to be very clear because sometimes the intelligence professionals get like worked up about it. It's in no way, shape, or form a replacement for those other types of ints. And then, in fact, if you really are, I think, a true intelligence professional, your goal set should be to provide multiple types of int. It would only be the sort of most biased source that would say, "Oh, we only need good SIGINT. We don't need good HUMINT." Or OSINT. No, no, no. You want each of them, and they each bring values, and the more insight that you can bring from different toolkits, the better. And that here is one type of toolkit. What are some of the rules of it? We actually, and I should add, um, I often feel like uh, the French winemakers saying, no, it's not champagne if it's not from the Champagne region. That's just sparkling wine from Australia. No, you can't call it champagne. I sometimes feel that where I'll see things described as ficant or useful fiction when really it's just fiction or science fiction or techno thrillers. We actually did a research project on behalf of the Canadian military, where they asked us a similar question to yours, which was, what are the sort of the rules of it? The report's available off the Useful Fiction website, but basically there was a series of them that distinguish it from you're doing sci-fi or you're doing just fiction techno writing. One is the it again, it has to be the fusion of nonfiction and fiction. Um, uh, so your starting point is that research. It has to be validated, and in many cases, you provide the footnotes or links to that. The that links to there's a goal set. Sometimes a goal set beyond just mere entertainment. Sometimes the goal set may be education. Sometimes the goal set may be a policy I would like to see come true, that defense reform project for Australia, or maybe it's something we want to prevent happening. Going back to the rule of the real, not just that it's validated in research, all real world locations. It doesn't take place on imaginary planets. Real world technology. And most importantly, the technology has to either already exist or at least be in the prototype stage. No vape, we call it the no vaporware rule. So you can't make up in writing terms, you call it a MacGuffin, a secret thing. And that sometimes even applies to, we'll work with private military, be like, well, what about X, Y, and Z? And we're like, I'm sorry, that doesn't exist yet. You're the one acting in the sci-fi world. Real world timelines. Um, Arthur C. Clarke was a phenomenal both scientist, invented artificial satellites, and science fiction writer. He described how when you move more than a generation ahead, you start to dance in the realm of magic. And what he meant is the world so changes that things become scientific, previously would have been viewed as mad. And you can, think of different examples. But it's also if you're wrestling with geopolitics, so it's not something set hundreds of years. It's within that generation space. Real world acting characters. They may be fictional characters, but they have to act within realistic manners. That may be including like following a certain doctrine, again, that has to be validated if it's a military officer. Or another aspect is there's real world problems. and including not just like mission sets, but there's what we call the fog, the friction of that Clausewitz talked about. It's a world where things break, where there's bureaucracy, like our real world. So there's these series of them that each one of them you need to sort of meet in order for it to be what we would describe as FICINT. And that is harder to do than just the making crap up model. Oh, the enemy did this, or a different example would be we they hacked the system. How'd they hack the system? Clickety clack. No, no, no. Where's the mode that they used, which has already been used in the wild and or at least shown off at a hacker convention. So it's harder sometimes to do the Fickett model, but because if you follow that model, you're able, we believe, to drive more real world change because you've sort of answered the questions often from the doubters. Well, that could never happen. Yes, it could. Here's the footnote, or here's where it already happened. And or you've got a goal set for why are you doing it? This is why. This is the goal, the intent. Did it lead you to ask this question, or did it lead more people to be aware of this topic? You're judging it by a different set than just merely were you entertained.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So those are the ends of my questions, but do you have any final statements you want to make before we close up?
No, I appreciate the opportunity to chat with you. If anybody has more interest about our work, please connect with us on LinkedIn, Useful Fiction, and you can check out the work at useful-fiction.com, the website for it. And yeah, I just want to send everyone the best there.
Thank you very much.